oh, so-and-so's going to win the tour. And then you wait 2 weeks, and so-and-so wins the tour. Sorry, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, my beer. Are we shifting to that, though? I don't know, we're shifting. Okay, sorry. I get into show mode too early, and then, it's like I want to talk to you guys about stuff before the show starts that are topics about the show. Sorry, I'm turning volumes down. That's still pretty loud. Is it okay on your guys' end?
Yeah.
Promise? It's because we're starting at 6:03. You started the live stream at probably 6:02, which people are like going, wait, they're not going to start for another 5 minutes because Sam doesn't walk in the door and say, hey, right at a certain pick of time. Time to play bikes. Here's the rhyme for the night. We're all going to be here, but Sam had to pack. Of all the excuses out there, his is the most whack. At least the OG3 are here with maybe David in tow. Flanders is here this weekend. Let's go, baby, go. Yes, I thought David was going to be here. Right, David? Oh, no, that's right. He's not here. Welcome to episode 473. 473 episodes of the longest-standing podcast on the sport of cycling. This is the one and only Packfiller Cycling Podcast. Think of us as a post-ride beer with several friends and one asshole. The odds are down. It's 1 out of 3. I'm potentially that asshole, and my name's Pat Bulger. With me are the members of the Packfiller. Let's check with tonight's Untapped Prologue. Of course, powered by Untapped Maple, Vermont Maple at its core, and the finest choice in energy. And if you haven't seen Ted King's most recent video of his fastest known time attempt in place of the Mid-South Gravel, is a really cool video. Speaking of Untapped Maple, tonight's question, gentlemen. You were asked to go to someone's house for dinner, okay? What do you bring, and do you arrive early, on time, or a bit late? What's your strategy when it comes to being invited to somebody's house? So, I included an introduction for all four of us because I didn't know for sure what was going to happen at any given point in time. So, first off, if he had a tan, I saw it with my own eyes. Mr. Palmain, and you're still pretty. You still got a little color to it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to fade with the weather we've been having.
Yeah, exactly. First of all, how are you? And
good.
And second of all, you've been asked to a dinner party. Mm-hmm. What do you bring? If they say nothing, what do you bring? Or if they don't, never mind. And what time do you show up?
Always bring a beverage, man. Hey, careful. There's a beverage
here. There's a beverage here, man.
Always beer, wine.
Yeah.
Usually wine more than beer. Unless I should know anybody who invites me. You know fairly well. I don't get a random tap on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you want to come over?"
Yeah. You don't roll up with a big old 8-ball of cocaine or something like that. Exactly. Is that what it is? I don't even know.
An 8-ball. That's an old term.
Is it? Okay.
I don't know.
How's your timing in terms of showing
Smack
up?
on the dab.
You are.
Like, boom.
If they say 6 o'clock, you're there at 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a minute early, not a minute late.
Okay.
I like to be, if I have to wait in a car.
You'll sit out front and walk in at the right time.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You guys, by the way, I do want to comment that you guys are always traditionally on time for this show. Jackson, you're usually, I make sure I'm down here at least 15 minutes early because I know that you're going to show up between 5:45 and 5:50.
Yep.
Paul, you show up just a hair right after that, always ahead of time because you guys know that the show goes live at 6. But anyway, second off, he grunts when he sprints. I heard it with my own ears, Mr. Jackson Bulger.
Yeah, I had to on that one.
Dude, that was impressive.
Number 3 of the day.
Ha, hoo, ha, ha, ha. And you were going by me so fast, I'm surprised there wasn't a Doppler effect. Like, ha, 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 ha. But it was good. It was a good sprint.
Yeah, thanks.
How are you, man?
Good.
Talk to me about your party philosophy.
It depends. If I am by myself, I think I'll be there on time, but that's not very good for my social, probably for my social anxiety, maybe you'd say, my social game, excuse me. Because usually whenever I'm right on time, it's like nobody else is there. It's usually like a one-on-one type of conversation or with like stuff like that.
Small talk.
Yeah. The small talk stuff. Nobody to bounce like anything else off of. So when I go with my better half, we're usually like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes a little bit after, just so like other people have showed up. We can all kind of like mingle together, and it's not like one of those like, oh yeah,
okay,
looking really good weather-wise this week.
Yeah. Or even worse, where they're like, I'll be down in a couple seconds. I just got to go finish taking a shower or something like that. And you're sitting there and their dog's staring at you, sniffing your balls or something.
Right.
Like
and
that.
So I think that's better for me, honestly, being like a little bit like letting other people kind of come before I actually get there. But my stress levels tell me if it's me all by myself, I have to be there on time.
Really? Oh, you do. So you will be there on time if it's just you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll suffer for it.
Yeah.
What do you come under your arm? What are you bringing with you?
It's usually maybe a drink or a dessert.
Okay.
Those are the two things that I have really only brought like a good portion of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless asked otherwise, I will bring other things.
Do you guys ask when you're being invited?
No.
What should we bring?
No, I always bring wine. Yeah.
You just assume and you just like, boom, you're just going to bring it.
I think it depends though on the party, like of the party of people. Like you guys, whenever we're coming over to your house, Dad, I always like my wife always asks like, what should we bring?
Yeah,
which is great. But then like if there's like a different setting, sometimes we don't need to ask. We'll just bring what we're gonna drink or something like that.
Okay. I've always I wondered if it's a generational thing. That in some cases because I always assumed you get invited, you bring a bottle of wine, or unless somebody says to you specifically, we're potlucking, could you bring an hors d'oeuvre? And by the way, I am shit at hors d'oeuvres. Don't ask me to bring hors d'oeuvres because that's not my area of expertise. I can bring entrees, I can bring shit like that, but I'm not going to bring a fucking charcuterie board. Those things are just Lunchables for adults. I don't like them.
I like them too.
But it's just, let's be honest, it's just a really pretty Lunchable.
Yeah, but I like the assortment of cheese.
Okay.
That's what I'm after.
I like good meats.
Yeah, and good
meats. Lean.
Yeah, that's
so perky.
It was perky.
I love that.
That's not what he said.
He said double. So I started with eyes. I continued with ears. And so the Waples aren't here, but I'm going to give them their introductions anyway. He likes to put massive climbs at the beginning of rides. I felt it with my own legs. Mr. David Waples. I hated him for that on Saturday. Number 4, he isn't here. I feel that joy in my own heart. Mr. Sam Waples. Me, finally, I like beer. I feel it in my soul. I'm Pat Bolger, and I definitely bring at least a bottle of wine. That's always a big thing I do, and I like to show up a few minutes late. I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to be the first people there because it turns into this. So,
it's a smarter way to do it,
man.
Yes.
And I hope somebody else is there because it's
you don't have an icebreaker. Like I if it's somebody I don't really know, I try and work up a big fart. That seems to just set the mood.
That'll make everybody just like,
oh,
we can relax now.
Exactly. Okay, this is how this guy's going to behave today. All
See,
right.
I've got an icebreaker, but it's like, how do I bring up shitting my pants in Sears?
There you go.
Like that doesn't just come up.
Dad says, bring it home with you. Grab that underwear.
Yeah, those are
Put it in your pocket.
Put it in your pocket, will you? You sit in the back.
So
hold down that window.
Your icebreaker is a party to throw your father under the bus about how poorly I've raised you.
Well, what else is childhood for?
I guess.
Yeah, we got to blame someone.
Great point. Yeah. Great point. I do the same thing. It is time to, once again with the show, to check in with everybody's cycling life, but Paul definitely gets to go first because he has just come back. Well, it's almost a week ago.
Yeah, it would be exactly a week,
From your true training camp, your spring training camp. First of all, let the audience know where you went and a brief overview.
It's my second visit down to Palm Desert, and I was stayed with. Last time I was down there, I had an Airbnb. It worked out well.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But my friend Stu, the 70-plus steamboat champion, which is a big deal.
Oh, our biggest result
but
for the
Sam
team
kind of
last year.
pooed it when we brought it up, and he's like, a steamboat.
Fucking steamboat gravel's an amazing race.
And it's so big, it's still a lottery. He doesn't. Stu told me he doesn't get, even though he won his category, he still has to put it in. He's not guaranteed.
Wow. And there's a photo of it, which is the best, highest placed photo nationally that our jersey achieved last year.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
No offense
right.
to all of our other victories,
yeah.
but you know, nationally ranked, you know.
Yeah. So his wife actually left to go visit her son up in Las Vegas area. So we did a tag team thing. She flew out the day before I came in. He hosted me really well. Man, you know, it's tough. We went out to dinner a couple of times and chit-chat about, we were watching NCAA tournament, you know, and when we weren't riding. We got a couple of good rides in and stuff. So
when you say a couple? Yeah,
I think I got 5. When I got there on Tuesday, it was like by the time I got my bike together, it was 2:00. And
then it's old people there, so everybody's at dinner at 4:30.
Well, that's when we eat. That's when I normally eat, and so does Stu. So it worked out well. But there's a Highway 74 from Palm Desert. It'll actually, you get up over this kind of like mountains, and it drops down into San Diego and stuff. But I just did a couple of hill repeats, and then there's another hill, Alamo. I just went up. It's a short little like residential hill just to open up my legs. Then we did a couple of rides, and the group ride on Saturday was one that's, you know, I wish I would have taken a picture, but there's like close to 100 people show up.
See, that's what I was going to ask about the cycling scene there.
It is big, and of course, you know, my group is, you know, there's 50, 60, 70-year-old people, but they were strong. I mean, they've been riding all winter long.
Yeah.
And Stu told me the last time he did not ride for one day in a week, where he went a whole week without riding, was back in 2018. And he was up here in Spokane, and that was in November of 2018.
God.
So.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's there. You know, the riding there isn't particularly extremely good.
Really?
Yeah, it's good because it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
And you know, the temperatures for us is like balmy. You know, like even the depths of winter, it's like it'll be like 38, and they all ride in the morning, so you have the whole afternoon to ride too. So, but there's certain loops and stuff. At least this Desert Bicycle Club that he's affiliated with. It's a great group of guys. They are all very supportive and stuff. So,
is the average age higher?
Yeah, I'd say probably pushing 60. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But they're not slow. I'm telling you, they're not slow. These guys, they know the route, which helps. Yeah. You know, I'm just tagging along, but there's times where it's sped up, and there's a section, Thousand Palms. That's a big ride. There's actually an area where a point where the big group splits off, and you can do what they call the dealership ride, a little more flat, or Thousand Palms, which you go through Palm Springs, and you make this little climb at the top, and the descent. I mean, you're spun out. I had my 5311, and there were sections where I just spun out.
Wow.
It's amazing. So, 47 miles an hour, you know.
Shit.
And it wasn't like a steep. I wasn't coasting.
Yeah.
It was just constantly you're rotating at high speed. So.
Is it just kind of a select amount of routes? Basically, what I'm asking is, what's the riding like in terms of drivers and traffic and things like that? Traffic
can be high. I think they're pretty, you know, for the traffic. I think they're pretty tolerant. There's bike paths all over that you kind of semi-use, and then you get closer into some
two-way section.
Well, and even outside, once you get outside of any of there's tons of little suburbias around, you know, and stuff. But they usually have, you know, a bike path and a golf cart path.
Okay.
And then traffic. So, you know, it's not uncommon to see that. There's certain roads, like Washington was not a road that you take.
Really?
You stay off of. I learned that the first time.
There's too many.
Yeah, it's pretty much. There's a highway 111. Which you can go ahead and take. There's bike path and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a highway, but Washington is a street. you don't take that one.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
So,
you talked about the getting hit pretty hard by the heat. You left here and we were in the 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
You got there
it was hot even for the locals. Yeah, because it jumped up. I think it was Sunday. It was 98 degrees. So
holy shit!
It didn't really. I suppose it did affect me. I couldn't get on top of my hydration, but coming off the plane, even and we weren't riding at 90 degrees. We were riding at starting off at like 58, and by the end of the ride, we're hitting 85 or something.
Okay.
So it ramps up. Even in a 3-hour ride, you'll jump, possibly 20 degrees.
Afternoons just napping in early dinner.
Yeah, watching the NCAA tournament. Okay. There's a pool there, just hung up by the pool a little bit. And there's a grapefruit tree in there. And then Stu had some steelhead. And I said, I'll cook that up for you because, you like fish. And I said, no, but I know how to cook it. So, and I said, all we need is a lemon. He goes, the neighbor's lemon tree.
Just reach over the fence.
Yeah, just grabbed one.
Wow.
Yeah,
see that?
Just cut it up.
That's not fair.
There's I'm not a big grapefruit person, but I should have grabbed. They were ripe. They were ready.
Oh, man.
And I could have grabbed one of those for breakfast. So
I was told I'm not supposed to eat them anymore.
Grapefruits?
Yeah, because of the heart thing.
Oh.
Somebody told me that. It's not any meds I'm on, so I love grapefruit. Fresh grapefruit in the morning.
Yeah.
Jackson, how are things going? Oh, actually, Paul, how's your fitness feeling after that week?
Even that week, I kind of never got on top of things. And then our ride this weekend, too, I was doing a little belly aching to Dr. David about it, just like in the lungs. It's nothing that I've ever experienced before.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like hard breathing, but there's crud going around.
Yeah.
And so it might be something that I have that might blow out. But
okay.
Yeah, it's a sensation. Of course, we're going very fast. We're average. A couple of rides that we did were, 19 miles an hour, but we were climbing 2,000, 3,000 feet of climbing in there. But, but I just can't. I just couldn't go up in the air. So
wow.
Hopefully it's better.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Jackson, how are things going in terms of you right now? How are things feeling?
Things are feeling pretty good. I was pretty pleased with how the last weekend went. We did some kind of like lead out trains, which I was really happy to see, like the effort put forth between, David and Sam to really like practice that and see what it would be like for season time. And it was pretty good. Those sprints were really good. I was able to do some like high numbers, like back to back within like seconds of recovery time, which was really helpful to see. And then, I mentioned to you as we were kind of on the back end of that ride, I was like, I haven't really done anything like plus 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So that third hour is like my reckoning time. And, within that third hour when we climbed up Baltimore, a local kind of longer climb, I was happy to see that I was able to stay like almost like 100 watts over threshold for that whole climb. Pretty fatigued.
Yeah.
And pretty in the red. So I was really happy to see that. I've never been able to do that in March. I told Sam there was one of the segments that we've been battling on over the past like year, and I was only 4 seconds behind it last week.
Okay.
So like things are really good for March. And I'm just excited for race season right now.
Yeah. We did I ended up with just shy of 70 miles on that day. Yeah. And it was my first, if you don't count the Fondo, it was the first kind of substantial group ride we've all went on. I don't know anymore. I'm in such questioning of everything I'm doing because I'm like going, okay, I'm feeling good on this. Then you go home and Sam looks at me and goes, God, that was an easy ride. And I'm like, shit.
I don't listen to him.
No, he didn't. But sometimes I do. And there's some, Jake. No. Who's the guy? Anyway, it'll come to me. But a guy who finishes races is like going, God, that was a negative race. And I'm like, yeah, it really was. And I'm coughing up a lung. And he's like going, everybody was just sitting in on that one. I'm like, thanks, dude. And so I'm constantly questioning things. But it felt like there were moments, at least on that ride. We didn't go balls out the whole time, but there were some good tempo moments and some good high speed moments. Am I dreaming?
Mm-mm.
Okay, promise.
I felt like there were a couple of times when I was like I was either kind of hurting or I'd be contributing or whatever it was, but I felt like we were kind of hoofing it the whole time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think proof's in the pudding. I didn't realize that section, that Curtis and Short Road segment, that the group of us were pushing it fast enough that we got 5th in the Strava segment.
Which one was that? Was that after we stopped for water?
We stopped for water, and then you head out of Cheney, and then we take that left turn.
Yeah.
From that section all the way down to where I split off from you guys.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a segment.
Oh, that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where these are, but
yeah. And then there's another segment where I went, and I was just kind of like sitting up because I wasn't feeling good. And I was only 2 seconds off of King of the Mountain to finish that segment, which is a different one that splits off.
Right.
So
there's some times like that I keep I'll get home and I'll be going, God, I got dropped here, I got dropped there, and then I stop and I go, technically I am riding with not only people half my age, but I'm also riding with some of the faster people in town. I don't want to say fastest. I don't want to get cocky because I know that somebody's listening to this going, that's it, burying those fuckers, but or something like that. Okay, good. That I'm glad to hear that. I was glad to see that, and most of the ride, personally, this is me making personal notes, that I was able to kind of keep the tempo and not, and hold the wheels. So that was good.
Now, I'm going to make a comment about this, and I said it 2 weeks ago to your son, and I mentioned it to everybody else. It's like you found a switch this year. Last year, you were just kind of like reaching the dark. I don't know what it is. I don't know. And all of a sudden, every ride we've been here, you've just been... And it's like everything flows. I can see your attitude, the way you're positioned on the bike. I mean, there's not like, oh, my mirror. I'm going to get dropped again. Oh, you were mopey.
Oh.
He was mopey.
Was I really?
I think there
was I a downer?
I think you had good reason.
Was
to be
I
mopey.
Debbie Downer?
Yeah, well,
No.
you had some heart problems.
By the way, guys, it's official. I can't have children. Where is it? Damn it, I should have had it ready to go.
Shoot it up.
I can't have children.
You had pretty good reason to be feeling that way, though.
Yeah.
I will say, and this is not stepping on a soapbox of any type. I will say that this is the first year in a while that the winter training has been consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a point to get up at 5 o'clock for 5 o'clock in the morning for at least 2 days a week for October, November, December, January, and that helped. It did. It really did. And the cross training has helped. The rowing machine has helped. I can't believe it. But, I never thought that I'd say a rowing machine, but it has. So, thanks, man. It's nice to be noticed. Paul, you went with the Waples on Sunday for another death march, which was pretty damn impressive. That you guys did 70 on one day and a upper 50s, 60s on the second day.
Yeah. We did, the Charles Road and stuff. David hung back with me again. I wasn't feeling very good. And
still,
we got a tag along from ODZ guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, Clint.
Clint's a good guy.
Yeah. So, it's just kind of like another impromptu thing. Met at First Avenue Coffee.
Oh God, we got to talk about doing a live show with those guys.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to do a show in there because it's great. Jackson and I had days with our besties. Jackson, talk to me about how the marathon training is going. If it's okay, if it's okay to talk about that on the show.
Of course, it's okay.
Has nothing to do with cycling, but you got a spouse training for a big freaking thing in June.
End
right?
of June. Yeah.
End of June.
Same weekend you guys are headed to BWR.
BWR, yeah.
Yeah. So, for those of you that don't know, my wife is going to run the Missoula Marathon at the end of June, like we just said.
Yeah.
And, she's been putting in a lot of really hard work for it. She did, what was it? I think a 10K a couple of weeks ago, the local Shamrock Shuffle on, yeah. And she I think she podiumed in her age group or something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, which was really cool.
Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. Which I was really...
I mean, of course.
Well, she I remember it was like...
A little late.
Whoops.
Yeah. It was raining that day, and she PR'd in her 10K, which was really impressive. And then this last weekend, I went out with her to a place on our local Centennial Trail, and she did 10 miles. And that is like, I couldn't imagine ever doing 10 miles.
10 sucks.
4 miles, I come back and I'm like, my legs are probably going to fall off now. But it was really like impressive to see like how she just like, the first couple of miles were kind of like figuring out the pacing for the rest of the day. And then it was just like sticking to the same thing.
Metronome.
Yeah. It was, which is really impressive because that is something I struggle with, like keeping a consistent power. But just to see somebody just really like lock in and just stick to that the whole time was really cool.
Well, that's what some of these other facets of the sport. I mean, there are, for example, triathletes, they do focus on that, maintaining Roger Drink would be able to tell me if I'm full of shit or not, but maintaining that consistent zone, between probably, I guess, zone 3 kind of a thing, like a zone 2, zone 3,
right,
and just hammering it for the whole time, which takes intense mental fortitude, I would imagine, especially in a marathon.
Yeah, but she's doing really well. Kind of reaching that time right now where it's like, I really want to stop doing 3-mile runs in the middle of the week,
Yeah.
But I feel like building that base has probably been like really helpful. And then not this weekend. This weekend she's got 7 miles, and then the next weekend she's got a half marathon.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It's
race or train?
Race.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Where at?
Oh, she is.
It's here in Spokane. Mm-hmm. I think it's downtown.
Oh, is it the Spokane half marathon?
No. Gosh, who puts it on?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it specifically. She'd be able to tell you, but
okay.
But yeah, she's doing something, and it's
negative split putting it on.
I think it is
probably.
Yeah. But she's doing really well. I tell her all the time how impressed I am and how this is a thing that she's accomplishing that I don't feel like a lot of people could do.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I agree, and not to poo-poo it. Even a half marathon, not to poo-poo it. And when I remember again, the guy I mentioned earlier that I made us drink. I remember talking to him once about the fact that because he wasn't doing Ironmans, that people weren't as impressed. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm a nationally ranked age group Olympic distance triathlete,
right?
And people are like, oh wow, have you ever done an Ironman? And he says, and then there's some people out there who are just kind of pacing Ironmans, and it's like, come on, I will say, in all of my athletic endeavors in my life, I have done one marathon, and it is one of the most horrific things I've ever done in my entire life.
Oh, it was a terrible thing to see. His nipples were bleeding.
Red nipples.
Right.
Red little splotchy nipples.
And then it was running down your singlet.
It was. The singlet. His shirt.
Oh, okay.
Don't give people that image. But your body breaking down is the thing that I don't want to freak out your wife, but the body breaking down, she will be far more prepared than I was.
Women deal with that a lot better than men do.
Yeah,
we're whiny.
Oh, we're bitches. Yeah, exactly.
Get that? Oh, this is sucks. Yeah.
But I'm really proud of her, so it's
absolutely. I got out with my wife on a little road spin, which is, I think it's okay for me to say, her first spin in a while. She and I did that not Moab. Wow, that's what we'd love to do someday. Mm-hmm. But we did that Winthrop ride that was from hell last summer on our tandem that we just did. I picked the wrong route, and it was way too technical for a tandem, and we ended up walking for 2.5 hours, and then anyway, but my wife's been off the bike for a while, and she's eager to get back on it, and the two of us went out this Sunday while you guys were out riding. I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta go for a ride with her, and do you think I can mention it?
I wouldn't know why. You wouldn't be able to.
On her new bike, she's on a new e-bike, and she looked at me in the eye, and she said, "This is a game changer." And I got out and pedaled it. It is not like David's, where if you have it in full high and you step on the pedals, it throws your head back, and you're like, "I'm gonna hit something."
David's is an illegal machine.
It should be. It should be. But this one, even when it's in its highest setting, if you get on the pedals, it'll assist to a higher level. But it's not like you think. It's not like the ones where you look around and you see people who are, not pedaling. that bullshit. She got tired, she got fatigued, but she made it the whole way. And that's when I'm like, okay, this is cool. It's a mountain bike, so we're not going to be out crushing the roads or anything like that. But, and the mountain bikes has a limit of 20 miles per hour, I guess, a governor setting on it or something like that. But
pretty fast.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. The road bikes are up to 28.
Wow.
Here. Yeah, I guess you can go 28, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I'm anxious to see, I've heard of the trials and tribulations of e-bikes, but you know what? I think in the right place at the right time, it's awesome. The guy who passed me in the Fondo who said, "On your left," and was being rude about it, and he came by me on a e-bike, and I heard the motor, and I just wanted to flip him off. That guy's different.
Yeah, that is a different breed. Yeah. Stu and I had that talk down there because some of them were getting older. Yeah, and it's the guys that are just can't. They've been riding along for whatever reason. They're hitting that cusp where they can't stay with the fast guys.
Yeah,
but they, that's part of the camaraderie. They've been with these guys for a while, but they were on the older side of things, and they're on it. And either is like kind of the rule is, don't get involved with the ride if it gets spirited.
Yeah.
And then attack. That's bad.
Yeah.
You sit back, you're not helping, contributing, and then you just on a hill. That type of thing. Or, when everybody's tired, then they can pedal on. If you're going to want to ride with people, sit back, let the guys that aren't on e-bikes do their thing, and when things slow down, you're not getting dropped. They're not waiting for you.
Yeah.
Then you can get up. But or if they don't mind, if you're in the rotation, just keep the same pace. Don't get in that pace line and then ramp it up to 32 and everybody can barely maintain 28.
Yeah. Right.
That sucks too.
See, there were moments that I thinking about when my wife and I were really fit on our tandem because we were preparing for a overseas trip that we were doing with a whole bunch of like 200 other tandems. We trained like crazy for it. And we would be on group rides CP was on a ride once with us. And I remember that the greatest thing about that tandem is when we get on the flats, she and I would go to the front and hit the gas. And for everybody's like, holy shit, let's go, let's hold on. I mean, it was fun. It was playful. It was spirited like that. And if I had an e-bike, I almost would be like, okay, you guys want to work tempo? I'll be your motor base, hop on, let's dance, because you're still working to an extent, but I guess it depends on what button you're willing to push on the bike in terms of level of assist. So I don't know. Yeah. It's an interesting time. It is an interesting time, but it is really cool. Jackson and I are planning a spring break riding next week. Kind of.
Yeah, we are.
What are your hopes for the week, Jackson? What mileage, efforts, tempos, zones? Paul's coming off his 1 week.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody should have a week.
Yeah, everybody should. So this week is kind of like my taper week for my training plan that I've had. So next week will essentially be like starting up a new block almost.
Oh, okay.
So next week I'm hoping to do longer, relative within that term. But also just like trying to get out and just put the pedals down for more than like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just because I think that's going to be the thing that helps me when we go over to Wenatchee. Because that 75 miles on a road race is something that I just haven't done all year. So yeah, I think I'm excited to leave the week with more miles. I don't really have too many like tight expectations. Of course, a little sprinting in there here and there. That's what I have to do. But besides that, I'm just excited to get time to really dedicate towards it.
I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm going to ride a lot with you, and my wife asked me, she said, "Are you and Jackson going to ride next week?" And I said, "I don't want to put that upon him." Because I don't want him to think that your father's waiting for you, hey, could I keep up with you for the next 4 days? And you're like, fuck, there goes my training, or anything like that. Especially because we are in essence training for different objectives. We do have ones in common. I want to do well in the Twilight series, which means I want to be there. No, I mean, if we jump into the APAC, I want to be there. I want, and I've got Belgian Waffle. I've got the Sandpoint event. I'm still on the fence about Breck Epic, which is 3 days. I watched a video last night and it scared the shit out of me because I saw the technical elements of the trails that they're on. I'm like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, so it's good. So I'm thinking about that. I'm not doing Wenatchee, so that is, a different objective. But, so it should be an interesting week. I don't know. Do you guys feel race ready? No.
I'm going to be honest. I really do think that if I started the Twilight series now, I'd probably do a little bit better than I did last year.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this kind of takes me to where I want to kind of take for a topic. This isn't the news section, but I want to touch base on a news that was out there. So, and I'm quoting this from our friends at Cycling News. Things are going from bad to worse for Belgian sensation Arnaud de Lee. I don't know if you guys have seen what's going on with him. He's been benched for his beloved Tour de Flanders and blasted by his Lotto team after his prolonged downturn in form. De Lee, once heralded as the, quote, next Wout van Aert, end quote, with his classic sprinter skill set, has been put out to pasture by Lotto. Sorry, the dogs must be really excited. I think my wife just defaulted and ordered pizza tonight. While they try to figure out where his legs went, 23-year-old needed a break to reset his flailing performance. Lotto director Kurt van Wouwer also issued a parting kick to his struggling speedster. I don't know if you guys have heard this quote. He said, quote, Arnaud has done everything in terms of training, but cycling is more than just training. It is not enough only to live for your sport at 90%. Cycling now requires 110%, he said. Ouch. This got me thinking about first of all, how happy I am not to be a pro cyclist.
It's got to be your life 100%.
It does.
110 apparently.
Yeah. Exactly. But
he's a farmer, just to set the base. He loves his cows.
De Lee.
Yeah, De Lee does.
Yeah.
He had Lyme disease last year. That was some. There's some other things behind this, but when you get paid, and your team is, in my opinion, this is my take on it.
Yeah.
And your team is on the cusp of like folding.
Yeah.
Which they are, well, not. I don't know if they're folding.
No, absolutely they are. After Soudal left them, they have been kind of fighting
struggling
for
a little bit. This is one of the longest
places.
running teams, professional teams, and they're not a pro tour team.
And if you've got the red, yellow, and black across that back, you know you need to live up to something.
Yeah. So there's some other like little background on that, but maybe maybe he doesn't have the mindset because he enjoys farming. There's nothing wrong with that, and he's got a natural talent of just. I mean, he's, as quoted before from Escape Collective, 10 pounds of sausage and an 8-pound casing.
The commitment that the sport takes, we talk about this on a relatively common basis, but especially for normal people, kind of like us sitting at the bar tonight, if you had to give a percentage of dedication to cycling that you feel in your life, if let's say De Lee's at 90%, what would your number be in your personal perspective?
At this point in time in my life, right?
Yeah.
I would say it's probably about 35-40%.
That's it. Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's in my mind a lot, but training, I mean, you think because of my job and everything, I can't do much.
Sure.
I have like 2 to 3 days that I'm able to really ride. Yeah. So, in a week. So, yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
My heart's there.
Yeah. Exactly. Jackson.
Man, I haven't really thought about it in terms of percentage before. I don't know, maybe 50%. It's tough anymore to really put a number on it, especially when with schoolwork also taking so much time.
Absolutely.
But, it's my wife and I were talking about it on her run, funnily enough, but it's like ever since school started, it's just like I've really had to like prioritize blocks of time. And it's like once you get home, that's the block of time from this to this where you do like where you ride and then you do schoolwork and then you get a little bit of time to relax.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have a necessarily like perfect percentage, but it's like it's a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would put myself at probably around 50. And that's not necessarily, as you know, I'm now quite famous on this show about productivity and results. It is on my mind. It is, I'll get to it later, but there's a lot of stuff in my life that is constantly thinking about these types of things and the sport and how it goes. So if you could increase it, would you? Why or why not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Easy. I mean, the thing is, what are you sacrificing?
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
it. Yeah.
I'm not at that point, but if I had the ability to not have a job, I would be. I'm pushing 75%.
Yeah.
You know, the job and just trying to get things, especially because winding down, to retirement. That's my objective, and then I can hopefully be in a position where I could just go down and hang out with Stu for a month.
Yeah.
Shit,
why not?
Yeah,
exactly.
that type of thing. So, that type of stuff.
God.
So
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's
only
cool.
5 years away from me. So.
Oh
man. Yeah. I don't know if I would increase it. I mean, in a perfect world, would I still be going to school? No.
Yeah, you have the degree already, and you'd be
This entire time has just been like, every time somebody's asked me how's school going, I'm like, I love it. I can't wait to be done with it.
Yeah.
If
I didn't have to do it, there's no effing way I'd do it.
100%.
Lifelong learner. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to be sitting down and doing like 2 hours or whatever I'm doing a day. You know what I mean?
No.
Like I think I'd rather be doing other things. But I'm thankful for the opportunity I've been given.
Yeah.
However, with that said, I don't know if I really would increase it. I mean, I think now modern training technology and everything you can get, and I think I've been a perfect example of this over the past winter, that for the little amount of time that you have, you can get a lot of results out of that little amount of time. I mean, I'm seeing form that I've seen in July now.
Yeah.
Because of the time that I've just dedicated to it and like really been intentional about what I'm doing.
And when you say time, it's not 3 hours. It is 1 hour a day for 5 days a week.
Exactly.
Kind of a thing like that.
And like sometimes if we ride on the weekends, I'll skip Monday, Tuesday and just go Wednesday to Sunday and then do it all again the next week.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's no more than 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really good for me.
I've been talking about it. I've been reading about it. I interviewed freaking Chris Carmichael, I think twice on this show, talking about that, time crunch and things like that. And I believed it, but in the back of my mind, Eddie B is still telling me the amount of hours I need to put in a week. The Greg LeMond book is still showing me that as of January 1st, you're putting in 12, 14, 16 hours a week. And that's how you do it. If you only have an hour to ride, don't bother.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
I spent my entire life learning that. And all of a sudden this year, I finally have gone, okay, let's see what these 30-minute workouts are like. Okay, I'll do them. It's not going to do shit. I mean, it's going to be stupid. I'm not going to get any faster. I'm going to still suck balls. And then, oh my God, I feel faster.
Yeah.
This is the year of reduction. It is the year of reduction. I have reduced my training time, but increased the quality, and I've finally reduced my tire pressure.
Because the alternative is, like our old schooling, is that if you're not putting in 2-3 hours a day, then
There's
you
no
might as well
point.
be, you're knitting.
Yeah, buy some golf clubs.
Yeah, do something else. But I think when Ryan was here, from the director of EPO, and I said I was kind of poo-pooing indoor training. It's certainly a positive reinforcement. Positive structure, other than sitting on the couch and having a beer and watching, NASCAR.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brent Soderbergh.
Yeah.
But the thing is that is certainly something that we didn't have. I mean, rollers and staring and listening to music was about all I have, back then, or had back then.
Yeah.
God, certainly. But ideally, if you had the choice, like I said, that if I had the ability to do a ride every single day and no obligation, I know it'd be much better. Much better than even if I did those half hour, 45-minute like train. But if that's all you can do, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Right? So
I will say something about those indoor training sessions is that you immediately get to the workout.
Yeah.
You don't have, okay, I'm leaving the house, I ride through downtown, I get to the area I want to train, and then I do my intervals. And what I like about those indoor workouts is you're just like going, okay, 5-minute workout, I do my bip, bop, bop, bop. No stoplights, no nothing, and then all of a sudden I'm on to my intervals. It is scientific. It takes the life and blood out of the enjoyment of it. But if you're trying to get something done, it's a very productive way in which to do
it.
It
is.
yeah.
Do you guys feel that cycling for the average enthusiast is more demanding in terms of time and commitment than other sports? If not, what other sports do you feel rank higher for the average Joe?
Like, does being an elite participant take more time
at our level? If let's say you're passionate about golf at our level, do you feel it takes more time and commitment? If you're passionate about running, if you're passionate about archery, if you're passionate about whatever your sport may be, how do you think they rank up? If we had to, apples to oranges, if we had to compare things.
Man, that's a hard question to answer. Because I think everything takes such a specific skill set.
Yeah.
I think that our sport definitely takes the high intensity fitness and like that endurance base, but then you also have to be able to handle the thing that you're riding.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to handle that for road specifically. You have to be able to handle that dynamic of riding close to other riders. That's uncomfortable. That's very uncomfortable. And it's something that takes a long time to get used to. I mean, riding 3 inches from another person's elbow is not a comfortable thing to do.
No, that's true.
So I do think it's a very high level. I think there is a certain high level of commitment and dedication that it takes. But then when you look at something like running, you have to get a very specific form to be able to run in a way that is okay for your body to handle that amount of distance. So I don't know if, for me, I know this is so lame, but I don't know if I can give an answer because there's so apples and oranges.
Yeah, but how about clock hours? I mean, I used to think about this in terms of, and this is not, I'm not belittling running, but I remember going, oh my God, if I had an hour to run, that's a long effing run. Yeah. If I have an hour to ride, again, this is my old mentality. If I have an hour to ride, it's not enough.
Okay, I get what you're saying now. Yeah,
the time commitment.
I get what you're saying now. Yeah, the time commitment I feel like is definitely pretty one of the lengthier, especially if you're wanting to race. Because most we raced last year 90 miles. That was 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's you have to really spend a lot of time to train for 4 hours.
I will say it. I think triathletes
they're
more than we are. Yeah,
that's probably the most I can think of. I'm thinking for cycling,
Ironman distance, especially. Yeah.
And even the shorter. I mean, a lot of those guys have a regimen. You wake up, they swim in the morning, or that's the run, and then that lunch break they go and they're doing something, and then they do the cycling afterwards or whatever their combination is. And that's way more than what we would put in.
Yeah.
But I think one thing to take away is the after. So running, I was thinking about my wife because she did 3 marathons. But afterwards, on her long distance, it's you have to, that recovery after the ride, run, that type of thing, you have to put it in the equation. Because if you do half marathon, even a 16K or a 10 miler, that you're really not worth anything at the end. That day's blown.
Sure.
Pretty
Physically,
much,
you can't. If you own a house, you're not doing yard work. You're kind of laying around a little bit, getting some hydration and eating and that type of thing, and trying to recover. So, I mean, I think running is probably. I think cycling, when it comes to recovery, is probably the easiest.
Really?
I do. I think you're wiped out, but you're not pounded to.
You could go again the next day.
Yeah, exactly. Running, you don't. you don't do back-to-back 10-milers unless you're insane.
Yeah.
And you don't care about your body.
I will say some of the longer distance cycling, though, especially those gravel guys who are doing that kind of stuff. You are out there for longer rides, and it does kick you in the teeth when you come home. And there is one other thing that, I got. Did we blow the IPA? My fault. My fault.
You know, I will say something that I've been really getting.
Shit, we go through those so fast. I mean, Shit.
I've been watching a lot of Alexei Vermeulen lately.
Yeah.
He and his buddy have a YouTube channel together, and he went through an entire training week, and the amount of time that he's out there is crazy. Like, some 3-hour rides. We do that on a weekend, but other days it'll be like 6 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
And he does this like back to back just to build. Just to build that fatigue in the body to be able to adapt to it. And I don't know if, like, say a runner would be able to do like that type of thing back to back, like day after day after day.
And we don't have that perspective. We don't know any world-class marathon runners, you know, but I bet they bet they have to.
Yeah. I was going to say, I bet they have to do that training block as well. So I don't know. I'm speaking without experience, to be honest.
Yeah, I just think that just the pounding of running is like what you're doing on that day, even your recovery on that day. Not even back to back to the next, what you can do the next day. I mean, there is some effect, obviously. And the more you do it, the better you're going to be at recovery. But cycling is like, there's times where I'm wiped out, but I could still, like, when I come home, I could like rake up the yard. Yeah, I feel crappy, but if I ran a half marathon, probably
like your joints are
you're done.
No, I'm not doing anything. You know,
my nipples are bleeding.
And golf is an example. I think after golf, you're not worth shit because you're so freaking drunk.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything done.
That is
you're happy.
Yeah,
but you know,
that is something that I noticed this last weekend. It's like, I feel like if you're golfing, it's a weird sport where you're kind of fucked up halfway, like in it. It's an interesting thing. I know, it takes a lot of skill.
It does. When I golfed, and I have to say I enjoyed it. I know you're going to poo-poo me, but I did enjoy it. There is a challenge. I mean, to learn to set up your hook around a tree, or you know, there's always these challenges.
Oh yeah, not taking away the skill of it.
There's skill in everything, and just the way you approach it and how you're feeling. You can. I mean, there's a lot of things, winds, and just kind of like cycling it a little bit without the effort. Physical effort, but it was afterwards where you go into the clubhouses that seemed to like. Then you got in trouble because you're coming home. You spent 4 hours doing 18 holes, and then you're 2 hours at the clubhouse.
Then you got to get picked up.
This is coming from a marriage. This is, however,
it's expensive as shit. And
this is, however, coming from a couple of guys who are known to, have a couple beers after.
But we can ride home.
Exactly.
Well, we have ridden home.
We have ridden.
Right.
My wife and I, after the ride, we stopped at our good friend Benedito's, which I am going to visit soon. A keg of IPA, and I was showing her the way we go home, and I said, try this after 2 beers. And she goes, wow, I couldn't imagine after 2 beers. And I said, try this after 2 10-ouncers.
Right. Yeah.
She went, what? And I went, yeah.
That's why when you're hitting about a block from home, you just suck down a gel and you're like, come on.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
I need my sugar.
Do you guys think the sport has become more demanding since you started in terms of time commitments? Not necessarily because of your level of athleticism and racing level, but for the average, whatever level you are at, do you think the time commitment has become greater?
I think my want to do better has increased.
So you have reached the next level that requires a time commitment increase.
Exactly.
Do you think the Cat 2s of today are putting more time in than the Cat 2s of yesteryear?
I wonder, because I think that for somebody like me who plans on being very like successful locally, I bet you they probably are putting in similar hours. And I do think in some cases, sometimes I am a little bit genetically gifted.
Sorry.
No.
It's your mother.
But I also think that I think I have the capabilities to probably get into a specific fitness a little bit faster, maybe than some. I don't know. I don't want to sound annoying.
No.
But I do genuinely think that probably a lot of the local people are probably putting in pretty similar hours than I am.
I will say this, and Paul, you and I have been around long enough that I think that the amount of time hasn't changed, but what I think has changed is the amount of quality. We've changed quantity for quality. There are no more junk miles, no more LSD rides, long steady distance rides, not like drop in and go wee, but
I think I don't know what, to be honest with you, what Cat 2s are doing now, but
I see a lot of 90 milers and 80 milers by local riders. I'm like going, geez.
Yeah, so I mean that's stuff that we did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, but we raced by this time. Well, actually, probably April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
It was training was like what you filled in the gap between races.
Yeah,
but
because we had more races.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I know that I see a lot. This is the thing that makes me think about that question is. I see a lot more people who have jobs that are Cat 2 racers.
Sure.
That when I was a Cat, racing Cat 2 stuff, those people, a lot of them
raced for preems.
Yeah, and they had part-time jobs, worked at a bike shop, or they I don't know, picked up garbage at the city park or something like that. They always had some kind of squishy job.
Yeah,
because they had to train.
Yeah,
but I think. Indoor training, and I think the science behind it and nutrition is huge, and that allows people. With the speeds that they're doing nowadays, because it's not getting slower out there.
No,
God. So it's not it's not easier. Oh, we had it tough in our day. It's just things have changed.
Yeah,
but I think the quality
efficiency.
Yeah, exactly.
Bikes are more efficient. The training's more efficient.
And
nutrition, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I also think that training is a lot more specific in terms of like what you set your sights on. I think my training is going to be a lot shorter because I don't expect to excel in like those really long distance races.
Yeah,
that's not really something that I really want to do.
Yeah.
But there are some people locally that'll go out for 90, 80 miles 2 days in a row in a weekend, and that just don't have that kick in the like final lap of a crit. You know what I mean?
But you won't see them at the end of a 90-mile road race because they'll
exactly.
Road,
yeah, exactly. And it's just what we
pick
all
your goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, I get it. All right, we gotta. I guess we gotta. God, I love that when the Waples aren't here, we actually talk more. I joke. I love those guys, fuckers. We're gonna switch and talk to with our headlines. Quick mention to our friends at Muck Off. Keep the bike in proper working order. Holy shit, that is really loud. You guys all hear that okay?
Well, my headphones blew off my head. I'm okay.
What? I wonder if the average person heard me say Muck Off. Keep the bike in proper working order with our great products by Muck Off. Clean, maintain, and outperform. I changed the compression setting on that channel, and holy shit, motherfucker.
People are watching probably being like, yeah, fuck off too.
Yeah.
Muck Off.
No, that's Muck Off with an M.
Use the link. I ruined that read. Holy Week, you guys, is officially underway as of this weekend with beer, frites, and bergs. The Tour de France.
Oh, try it again.
I quit.
Take two.
I would edit that out if I edited this podcast. Of the Tour of Flanders, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing, knowing that we are here. Paul, you have been there multiple times. What makes this race different from the other classics? Especially the other Belgian classics.
It is their world championship. It's the whole country basically stops, and I'll use this as an example. When Dismount Dave and I went there, and we went to pick up we flew into Brussels and rented a car, and we're going into Ghent to stay in our hotel. And the guy says, "What brings you to Belgium?" We're going to the Tour of Flanders. That guy went off for about 5 minutes about who he thought, blah blah blah, and the whole country just comes to a grinding halt. This race is everything. This is their Super Bowl. It's their everything. Paris-Roubaix is pretty much like everybody is, but Belgium is. You'll see all the Belgians down at Paris-Roubaix too, but this one is massive. And just the history behind it, all great bike races, it all starts with a promotional thing for a territory or whatever.
Sure.
And there was a newspaper, just like the Tour de France and the Giro and stuff. And so Belgium's a small little country, so I'm assuming one day should cover it, So, so it started 1913 was the first, what we know as Tour of Flanders. There was another one a year before, kind of like probably not at the level that it is now. And newspapers started it, but it is a tough race. The cobbles there's some on the flatter section, but mainly uphill. And they, the courses have changed. And, I fell in love with it so much I got a stinking tattoo of the Muur de Gerasbergen with the Kapelle, the chapel on the top of the hill. But it is a spirit. It is like everybody. I was thinking of what's her name? It was FDJ, the Danish rider. She's full of
Cecilie Uttrup.
Thank you. And she's like, "Oh my God, you're just." It was the first time I think she raced. I think she got third that time. The people are screaming and it's magical, and the people just love cycling. They just love it. So
for people who've never been there, I think of Flanders Fields as almost like a small area of the Palouse. I mean, the
Flanders Fields is different. That's to the west. Now we're going into what they call the Ardennes.
So Ghent is Flanders.
That's part of Flanders. So Flanders is split up. So Flanders Field and Ghent-Velligem is down. It would be southwest of the country.
Okay.
And then so Ghent, there's E3, which is now E17. That's it was named after a highway. E17 is actually when the European Union. I know a little bit of the information. I didn't really deep dive in that.
No,
but they were trying to make like on the the Americas. From Canada, you can take I-5 all the way down to South America, that type of thing. So they renamed.
Yeah.
They have. So I think the E17 can actually, technically, you have to take a boat, but they have it in Norway or something like that, or in the Scandinavian countries and down south to Portugal or something. But anyway, so you're probably looking at most of like tomorrow's race, Dor Flanderen.
Yeah.
That is going to hit some of the hills. So there's the famous one, and I always use. Somebody's going to argue about this, but to me, the Koppenberg is like the Arenberg Forest.
Okay.
It is brutal. They had to take it out just like the Arenberg Forest because it got so bad that, it's not raceable, and they repaired it and brought it back. Even Eddie Merckx had to push his bike up the hill.
Yeah.
When you get legends
was it
like
last year that something happened where they did have to dismount?
It was rainy. Yeah, there's only 3 people that made it. It was Mads Pedersen, Matteo, Jorgensen, and then there was somebody else that made. Of course,
Mathieu
van der Poel.
Yeah,
those are only 3 that actually were able to ride up it. It was so slippery. A friend of mine who actually did a sportif of that, or rode with a group through there, like before the race. The guy who was leading this group said, "I've done this ride 20 years leading groups. This is the first time I had to get off. It was so slippery that year, last year." Wow. So, but anyway, it's technical. Famous one is Jesper Skibby getting ran over by a car. It's narrow. Yeah, it's 22% at its steepest, and there's legends in all this. You look at it; it's a great area. It's I want to go back. It's
the motherland.
It is. If you're deep into hardcore cycling. Yeah, that is the country. That is the region. Is in Flanders. So,
what do we think about in terms of the fireworks that are going to be happening? I love that there are so many publications this last week talking about the fact that in order to be one of the greatest cyclists of a generation, you need a rival. And seeing Tadej and Mathieu van der Poel described as rivals, yes, not in July, but what we're seeing is somebody who can go toe to toe with one of the greatest riders of this generation, if not all time. After Milan San Remo, we know everybody's levels of fitness. Is Tade going to be attacking with a vengeance because of Milan-San Remo? Is this going to be absolute insanity fireworks, or is this going to be a classic attack with 40K to go, finish solo? How do you guys think this one's going to come down?
I mean, I imagine it'll be like the first time he won Flanders.
Tade.
Yeah, Tade.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, not Mathieu. Tade. I imagine it'll be pretty similar to that last one. I think he'll probably try and go. What is it? Maybe I bet you he'll probably try it really hard on the Kwaremont. I bet you he'll give it a go on the Koppenberg as well. Just being that lighter rider than Van der Poel will be, but I bet you he'll have to go on a climb because he cannot take him like he did in San Remo.
There is a long finish stretch.
Yeah, but that's what he did last time too. Yeah, you know, he was able to ride away from him.
Was it 13K, I think, after the Packfiller, which is the last one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think he's got to go on a climb. But that might be a bit of a longer range attack than maybe wanted, but I think he's got to do it if he's going to win it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, that's Tade's deal. And obviously on the Cipressa, going back to Milan-San Remo, that was his effort. It's just not steep and hard enough. Mm-hmm. And that's how he was able. Yeah. This will be, but man, I tell you, I'm not a fan of Van der Poel, but he is fantastic. He is on a high. Like I think as a rider, he's something to watch.
Yeah.
My curiosity is, did he already peak? Because we put these people like, oh, they're superhuman without a doubt, but there is at some point he's got to taper off. The body physically cannot be at that level. To be at the level at Milan-San Remo and even E3, the way he handled that, I'm like, wow, that guy's on fire. Mm-hmm. So maybe he still has a little bit at Flanders, but can he stretch it all the way to,
I think Matthew's planning his season to end not this weekend, but next weekend. Mm-hmm. I think that is it. Paris-Roubaix,
without a doubt,
he shuts the power switch off, and I think he's planning that.
But I look at the difference between Wout and their approach to cross. Van der Poel during cross was at full gas.
Yeah,
and he hasn't shut it off. It's
in so many years you can do that.
Yeah, and mind you, it's only crosses an hour, but the intensity at that hour was like, he was just playing with everybody's balls. It's just like, see ya.
I'm really expecting to be truthfully transparent. I'm expecting them to trade blows over the next 2 weekends.
Yeah, I
think that one's going to take one and one's going to take the other.
This is unbelievable that we have all these guys at this level. And I mean, the women's race is the same. I mean, look at both fields and I'm going, oh my God. Before we went on air, Paul, and to switch gears and talk about the women, we were talking about the fact that we've got the depth of the women's field is spread out across so many teams that there is a potential for either massive fireworks or massive everybody staring at each other and the race is becoming negative. And, we talked about Gent-Wevelgem. We talked about the fact that the finale of Gent-Wevelgem was pretty lackluster. Mm-hmm. And that's not saying anything bad about the women's field, but when everybody's eyeing at each other and there's no one super team to go to the front and absolutely crush things, you run into negative racing. And I hope we're not running into that with women's fields because there is so much insanity when I look at the depth of every team. Every team, when I'm looking at both rosters, the men's and the women's, I think of like 2-3 riders that could potentially be up there. Maybe not for the win. Mm-hmm. I mean, I look at the men. I look at Alaphilippe. I look at Degenkolb. I look at those guys who are really starting to come to fruition. Mads Pedersen is dancing. Mm-hmm. He felt like shit during Milan-San Remo. I look at the women's field, and Vollering's not going to be there, but Lotte Kopecky is about to unleash, and Lisa Longo-Borghini had some bad luck in some of the other races. I want Allison Jackson to do something again, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But you're seeing this; it's spread out. They're spreading the peanut butter across the whole slice of bread, for a metaphor. And so where does that lead us? Where does that take us? So
right.
I think on the women's side, I think there's an adjustment period. You had a dominant team, the SD Works, for so long that everybody's like, well, you're not playing that game anymore?
Yeah.
I'm like, why should we?
Yeah.
They had everybody. I mean, looks like Anna Vandenbergen is racing. Let's see.
Yeah.
She is. That'll be interesting because then with Kopecky and stuff on that
Absolutely.
side. I think these type of races are going to be different. Gent Wevelgem was kind of an oddball, and same with for the women's racing side, and then also Omloop, Nieuwsblad. That one was kind of like, well, that's goofy. What the heck's going on? I think that we're at that adjusted period, where they're like, okay, things have changed. And
there's a
where
paradigm
do we go from
shift.
here?
Yeah, there's a paradigm shift in the women's peloton.
I'm going to blame
right
the directors, not so much the women's racing, because I think I've mentioned it before, but Peter Post and Jan Ross really had a like butting of heads, and there was a period where I think it's Frans Maassen and Mark Sargent were on each other's team, and they were in a breakaway, and it might have even been Flanders, and both of them said, don't work with them. Yeah. And they got caught, and they didn't even do anything, and the UCI says, this is bull crap.
Yeah.
And
stop racing for the other guy to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm wondering if some of that, because maybe the directors are telling these girls, like, shut off the gas.
Animosity, bad blood.
Yeah, we're not going to. We don't want to give this one away to them. How it's going to turn out. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. I think there will be adjustment pretty soon. We're going to see full gas on the women.
God, I hope so. It's going to be good. Gentlemen, it's time to pick. Let's look at our women's peloton. My picks have been shit lately. Actually, no, they've been okay. Okay, I've never picked a full podium, but there we go. Women's peloton for Ronde van Vlaanderen. I have, of course, Elisa Longo-Borghini because I will pick her until the day she retires. I think Lotte Kopecky is about to reach her, and she's going to want that repeat. I don't think she's going to want to lead out anybody. I think this is her day. She wants to shine there. And I'm going for I don't consider her an outsider, but I think with her cyclocross background, and I think she's going to be one of the leaders of the peloton soon, is Puck Peters.
Yeah. That was a good call.
I picked Elisa Longo-Borghini and Lotte Kopecky as well.
To cross them off, then we don't count each other,
But I did pick Marianne Vos.
You never count her out, right?
I got Kopecky, but I picked Vandenbergen. She's been there before.
Yeah.
A couple of times.
I think she's had some experience.
Yeah. And she, one race, she was in third place. And it was in Estrada.
It was.
She was right there in second place.
Oh, wow.
So, Lucinda Brandt, I picked her because I think Lidl Trek is a strong team. I think they're going to get their crap together. I think after Gent Wevelgem, I think they dropped the ball. I think that's where the directors are like, okay, we got to approach this differently. So
I think whatever Lidl Trek is doing on the men's and the women's side is a good thing. I think both sides are growing immensely. I don't know how they're going to do once we get into Grand Tour season, but I think it's going to be a great year.
And you also mentioned somebody who has a lot of off-road experience. I'm really surprised that Pauline Ferrand-Prévot did not come to this race.
Yeah.
Or will not come to this race.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. I was expecting
some of these cyclocrossers I expected to see shine.
Yeah.
For the men, we are all going to pick, I think, two of the same three riders, Mathieu van der Poel and Tadej Pogacar. I am going. I'm rooting for him until I die. I know you think what I'm going to say is going to be Blink, but it's not. I'm picking Mads Pedersen this time.
Well, no reason to go over mine, but I will talk about the one that I did omit. Who was Wout van Aert? I did not pick Wout van Aert.
Why haven't we talked about Wout van Aert?
And I think I have a reason why, because he's really barely raced this year. And I've said it before a couple of weeks ago, but the Palmares is unbelievable in what he's done. And I will not say that it's something that I could ever do. But recently, he has won this race. I know that. But recently, has he shown the form against those two?
It's scaring me. I'm wondering if the crashes have let up.
He's been a very unlucky rider.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I worry about his, and I think this year is the time to deliver. he has to this year, I think.
Shit, fuck.
Yeah, I don't pick Matthew Vanderpool because
out of spite.
Yeah, out of spite.
Sure, fair enough.
He's probably the most amazing racer I've seen in my lifetime. But I mean, as a classic racer,
yeah, one day he will go down as one of the best ever,
without a doubt. But just spite. Tade, because the guy is you can't.
Come on.
You're not going to lose. The guy's going to be on the podium whether you can.
Yeah.
I went with Mads also because his Ghent Velgem thing was pretty impressive, and I think that he doesn't really have to. He can sit back and watch Tade and Mathieu do their thing, and he can bounce off of that. Those two are going to be matching.
Yeah.
All he has to do, I mean, not like it's easy, right?
Well, yeah.
No.
So he can play like Ghana did in San Remo.
Yeah, exactly. And if he's got the gas, he's going to do it. And I think he was sick at San Remo, and through I think he did
horrible conditions.
Trino and Gredico, and he got sick there. But I will always. Just like I never pick Vanderpool, I will always pick Van Aert because he's my replacement for Sepp Van Marke.
Sepp Van Marke,
yeah. So I picked him. Too. I think he's put a lot in there. I think on the downside, everybody talks about it. He's got 2 kids. The guy doesn't live in Monaco. He doesn't live a high life. Mm-hmm. He's still in his small little community. He loves his kids. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. In fact, that's what makes him more likable for me. But I know from personal experience for me, those are distractions.
Yeah.
As Mathieu is showing up in a Lamborghini, living the life, and he's doing the dream.
Well, he'll never have kids because the last time kids pissed him off, he barely made. He got arrested in a hotel at the World Championship.
And speaking of, did you know at E3 he got spit on?
Really?
He did.
Fuck! Just stop it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I personally don't like the guy, but I would never spit.
No.
I'd buy him a beer because he's a champion. He really is. But doggone it. Quit beating up on my
His grandpa was his father was an amazing writer, and his grandpa was poo-poo.
Yeah.
Well,
then that brings up a case. And I'm going to see if I can get that pigeon pie.
There we go.
Do you know the story of pigeon pie?
Oh, God. That's for another show entirely. we're running late on
his dad had pigeon pie.
Oh, okay.
Look it up. Andre Vanderpool.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I thought you were talking about them. Never mind. Yeah. Segments tonight brought to us by our friends at NordVPN. You guys, if you don't know what it is, get it because you can watch all the races and you can pick what announcers technically you want to hear. If you like the U.S. announcers, you're good. But if you don't, wow, that's mean for me to say, isn't it? Sorry, Christian. Every time Bob says Christian, I'm going to drink.
Yeah.
And I will be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works for him, man. And I'm not jealous. I'm just I don't know why. I need a dialect when I'm watching a bike race.
Makes it more authentic.
I need a European dialect.
I'd have to say, not to go down that road, but I'm going to. I love Bob in the early days, but sometimes corporate forces you maybe that's
I think they need to dumb it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think because of its Pidcock, the whole thing for the United States is to draw in more people. And if you tie into like Discovery or now Max, you've got seasonal people and people that know they're talking about racing that majority of us know. Or you can figure out if you don't know, you're going to figure out. Or you're sitting next to somebody watching it that knows.
Yeah.
But
who probably
Pidcock is like the guy who's like, oh, what's on TV? What's this shit? You know, that's what it seems like. That's how dumb it is. Yeah. They got the arrows and this is so-and-so. And
oh, God, their tour coverage.
And it's like all the banners all over the place. And it's like, I just want to watch a race. I don't want to know what's happening.
When I hear a British accent, that's when I know that I'm in a race. But when I hear an American accent, I'm like, I feel like I'm watching the Cowboys like 4th and 11. about to just bottle it again.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I don't want to bash. Well, I bashed. It's quit I can't preface things anywhere more with like, hey, with all due respect, it's in the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
I can start anything and say you're a fuckhead or something. No, that's not true. So I guess we're starting with changing times with Paul Main tonight because we don't have any doctors and fit shit to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? So tonight's theme from Paul is perfection, not possible. That's depressing.
No, well, it's more on race. I mean, we all come, whether it's amateur level or professional level. The thing is we all come with a plan. You should, if you're going to race. But cycling is so unique that you can start, and within 2 minutes, you got to just dump that plan.
Oh, God, yes.
And to race a perfect race, and there was a couple of times where I had a strategy, and pretty much everything went perfectly, but not 100% when I look back. And there was a situation what made me think about it because we were talking about, Dismount and I were talking about Milan San Remo. It's like, Tade did everything right. He had to attack early and had to do everything. That was the perfect race for him, but it wasn't perfection.
One guy held on.
Yeah. And you can never go through, especially a race that long, and have a total perfect race. You have to make major adjustments or minor adjustments. There's whether you're feeling or like, did you know he changed his whole kit?
Who?
Tade? Because he finished in white on white.
What?
He had black shorts on.
When did he do that?
He started. I don't know. It's not.
How
I'm
do you
sure
do
they don't.
that?
Because I watched that.
Did he do Milan? Did he shit himself?
I don't know. He thought his team, he thanked his team entertained. But he was like, Stu and I were watching. It's like, you can't wear a black. He's all black. He had black shorts, and he had the black. You can wear black with the World Championship.
Yeah.
Only on training. You can't in a race. It has to be white.
You're white.
I thought.
And he had black on, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, it was just a cape. Then I thought, did he had like a second pair of shorts?
That's crazy.
So I could be wrong, but I'm just thinking that was strange because he finished on white on white.
Huh.
And anyway,
never.
But I'm sure he had another. Just even on my experience is the first Ronde van Plus that I finished and won because the first year they had it, I flatted out, couldn't finish. But anyway, I won, and all my teammates are like, "Man, that was great." I'm thinking, I could have done better. Oh God! But it's after like those moments. Yeah,
after you won,
it's like, I won, but there was several points in the race where somebody could have saw me slip up and taken advantage of it. And I got to learn to either hide that, or not allow that to happen. Mm-hmm. Whether there's a gap or whether I took reached in my pocket at the wrong moment. Like, oh shit, there's a hill. Yeah. The small little things like that. So, and I think that's the uniqueness about road cycling is like, even when you think somebody's got something down totally perfect, there isn't. I can guarantee you nobody's finished like, this is when I was going to do this, and I did it, and I won. Mm-hmm. You can get close, but you never perfection. And that's
God, you know what? I think that's also it might sound depressing, but a philosophy to live your life. I can think of every discipline of cycling, and I can think of that. And I can think of, if you ever come home, I've told this to my theater students. I said, if I ever see the perfect performance, I will quit. Mm-hmm. Because there's no reason to continue.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. There's it sounds negative, but you do need to constantly look at things and go, that went great. I do when we sit down to dinner. I do it and I'm going like, yeah, this is good. I think I overcooked the pasta. And everybody's like, Pat, just sit down and enjoy the fucking meal. I can't. I'm incapable of doing that. And I guess that for you is what keeps you coming back.
Absolutely. And in like you said, every aspect of your life, even in whatever it's your job or something.
Yeah.
If you're washing dishes at a restaurant, do the best you can and then figure out what.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that keeps you going. Otherwise, you're just heinously bored and disenchanted. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, I've been doing it for 46 years racing bikes. And it's like, never have I ever thought, even when I won and even when I made the decisions and the right decisions in the way that you pictured in your mind, it wasn't like,
That's why I like.
You screwed up there a little bit, there, buddy. I mean, you got lucky on that one, and that's what brings me back.
I like seeing Tade get beat because of that.
Yeah, and he does. He does exactly
keeps
that.
Him fired.
Yeah,
yeah. I like that one. Okay, we're going to stop points with Jackson Bulger. No, the cool points. The cool down. The cool points. I'm not drunk.
No, but thank God we're out of IPA.
You're drunk.
Yeah.
Thank God we're out of IPA. I gotta go get some this Friday.
Yeah.
Order the king.
Yeah.
What's up?
So this today I was looking around and I saw something from Uno X, and I saw them really talking about rider weight. Did you see this too?
I did.
Yeah. And how
it made me happy.
Even like Jonas Abrahamsen, who wore the polka dots for quite a while last year in the tour, they were talking about how they believe that rider weight will begin to increase because of nutrition plans. And I found that very interesting. And it made me really think about how I have treated myself over the years of like cycling. And I've never really cared about my weight because I know that first of all, I know that the amount of effort that I do within the week, like I'm burning a lot of calories a lot of the time. And I really have gotten into like the whole like, oh, is your metabolism built for this or this or this, you know? And I recently learned that the more active you are, actually, the higher your metabolism works. I know that's probably like very much like duh for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's something that I never really like searched into. And I guess my question for you guys is, do you care about your weight? Because it's something that is a big part of the sport. Paul, do you care about weight?
I don't think I ever really cared because, you know, I rode so much. But I think looking back, I overate. I would have like at dinner, like maybe easily 2 pounds of pasta. I mean, and right. I mean, that type of thing. And there was a series of pictures in 1990 in the downtown Criterium. This guy from Spokesman Review took a picture of me going into a corner, and then when it was revamped for 1 year, we had it downtown, that exact same corner when I was 50 years old, and I weighed the same. I was 27 at that time, and then when I'm 50, so
yeah, wow.
And I was at 50 totally cut. But your skin is different at that age, that type of thing. But I was flying in my 50s better than when I was 27. So a little bit of overeating and watching what I eat is a little bit, but I don't worry about my weight. But I got this pinch factor where my fat gathers around my kidneys, and I can squish it, and it sounds like, you know, when you sounds like when you pour a high beer, you know, when it, you know. So I know this is all beer fat back here. So you know, there's things that I can do that when my weight does drop, I do climb better. There was that period when I was 48. And I actually, without trying, I had braces and stuff, which you lose weight, strangely enough, when you do that.
Yeah.
I got down to 152 pounds. And it was not like I was seeking to do that. But when you have braces, you look at something on I'll eat that. You don't, because you have to clean out all that. You got shit all over your...
Yeah.
So it's amazing But the thing is, I could climb like I've never climbed, but I had no strength. I was constantly tired, and I looked terrible. I looked like, you know, I had veins coming down my groin and on my stomach. I mean, it was bad. It was bad and unnecessary. Yeah. But now I'm at the point, especially as amateurs, I don't think weight's a big deal. I think that you eat proper, not overeat. You shouldn't be leaving the table going, oh. And that's what I was doing at 27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think that, and another reason why I bring this up too is because I have gained a little, like, you know, 3 pounds of weight over the winter, but I've noticed that it's not fat. I look, and I'm not, once again, I'm not trying to sound annoying here.
No.
But the work that I've done makes me look a specific way that is a little bit more defined muscularly, and I think putting on that muscular weight sometimes for a cyclist can be like, whoa, this is a bad thing. but do you pay attention to it?
I think it's pretty well known. Obsession is a little too strong of a word, but I think it started about the time I bought my first digital scale, which gave me body fat percentage. And when I was at my fastest, when I was nationally ranked, so to speak, when I was, Cat 2, front of the field all the time, I didn't know what I weighed. I had no clue. Mm-hmm. No clue. I do remember when I was rowing for the men's rowing team at GU, and I was incredibly fit. I could go do anything. I was in the mid 170s, upper 170s. I am not there now. And over the past probably 15, 20 years, I have become obsessed with getting to a specific number. And I'm not sure where that came from. Mm-hmm. But, and I don't mean it as a bad obsession. Yeah. It means something that I'm striving for. It is something that I will, I will change my diet habits. I will, and not for the bad again. Yeah. I mean, I don't, I cut wine out of my life because I'm like, it's stupid calories that I'm eating, and I don't, and and then on Saturday I feel faster when I'm with the guys when I don't drink that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I pay attention to body to weight ratios because I'm the biggest of the whole group. And I don't mean fattest. I'm just the biggest person. I'm the only one in the group who's over 200 pounds. Mm-hmm. I'm a broad person. Yeah. But it is something that yes, I do think about. And, it is a motivating factor in my life. Oh. I know I am 203 pounds. Mm-hmm. That is the lowest I've been in 3 years. My goal is to get below 190.
How often do you weigh?
195. 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, maybe once a month.
Yeah, I have a Garmin scale. It sends it to probably Jackson's watch. But, I have a Garmin scale. I get on it. It tells me all the stuff. I don't know how accurate it is, but it is some days I just don't get on it because I don't feel like I want that news.
I think this is an really interesting topic because you look at like 70s and 80s, like Merckx dominated, and you look at their upper body. Well, several reasons. We were taught, like, when I first got into cycling, you worked on your upper body because you had to, on steep climbs, you were torquing. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had 7 speeds. We had a 42, 22, or 23
to get that bike up the hill.
Exactly, and sprints too. I mean, you grunted over the top of the hill, and I'm wondering what would that generation look like at that same weight that they have now with the technology of a bike that we have today.
Dropped.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's the other way around. I think this is where the trend is going with X, because
Abrahamson.
Yeah, Abrahamson. I mean, I think he's 10K, 15K heavier than he was at his lowest. That's huge. Yeah. That's massive.
Yeah.
And he's
all
faster. Those guys.
He's a lot faster.
And I think the focus was all about uphill, and that's all Tour de France stuff. But the classic riders, you know what I mean? There's times where...
What are you training for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to kind of... And, shed a few pounds, cut back your calories. You don't have to, just like starve yourself. Mm-hmm. But, when you got a stage race or something, those hills, if you got a lot of hill climbing, that does make a difference without a doubt. Mm-hmm. But... Yeah, I think it's a great trend if that's the way it's
100%. Going. And I sometimes, even locally, I look around at other riders, and there are a lot of riders that I look at, and I think, me and Sam in that 1s, 2s, 3s category are two of the biggest riders in the group.
Yeah.
But like you said just prior, it's what you train for, And there are some riders that I know for certain I'm not going to stick with on the climbs, but when it comes to that last lap, I'm going to just be able to punch it in. Mm-hmm. So it's all super relative. And by the way, it can also be a very, toxic thing. I'm really happy to hear you say a different type of talking about it,
Yeah, I'm not anorexic level, but I am obsessed with it. I want to get it down. I wanted to get it down for several years.
But it's a motivator, not an inhibitor.
Thank you. That's a great way to put it.
I think that's great.
Great way to put it. All right, you guys. I'm gonna pull an audible here because I actually have a short segment tonight because the guys weren't here. I'm gonna pull the final K because it's just a ridiculous, nonsensical question. So I'm gonna do my little segment.
Cleaning your butt.
Yeah, exactly. How do you clean your butt? And so I'll hit the outro once I finish my little segment. And this is I did Pat's Pulpit once, and Pat's Pulpit once was ridiculous and over the top. But this one, please forgive my overly melodramatic cheesiness, but I want to address this past Saturday. I had a moment of pure epiphany of this past Saturday. It happened about the midpoint of the ride, and I wrote this all down, and that's why I'm looking at prepared copy. I was feeling good. We were taking turns in the rotation, and I felt that we were going fast. At least it felt fast to me. And please excuse my romanticism. I was with my close friends. I was with my best friends. My son was one of them. And after the health issues over the past 2 years, I've really come to appreciate these moments, the moments like this. It wasn't a race. There was no podium. But it was definitely one of the moments that make me truly happy. It hit me like a gale force headwind. I was truly happy in that moment. And then Sunday, I went for a ride with my wife. We spun around the neighborhoods and even stopped for a beer in the sunshine. It was truly one of the greatest weekends of my life, and there were no highlights. There were no major moments. All it took was to get outside. So I guess what I'm saying here is that you might never, ever step on top of a podium. You might not have the best, most expensive bike. You might never see anything near a Strava ranking, but please, for the love of God, take a moment on your next ride. Stop, either physically or mentally. Don't take a picture. Don't shoot a video. Don't post anything to anyone. Just take the moment in, appreciate the absolute beauty of being outside with or without some of the people you care or you share your love of bikes with, and snapshot, and I put snapshot into parentheses, quotation marks, snapshot that moment for your memory, for your internal social memory, social media memory. You can keep it forever, and it only needs one like. That's yours. So there we go. I had such a great fucking weekend, you guys.
Excellent.
So, that's awesome.
There we go. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Be sure to like or subscribe to the show and check out our YouTube channel as well as pop a review every now and then. Check out the website. The blogazine keeps going. Justin Short's doing some really insane stuff that doesn't actually include riding your bike. He's pushing the fucking thing more than he's riding it. But the mileheads just keep wanting to send me shit, and so I just love it. Guys, with less the time left to go, is there any product or app or anything you guys are nuts about right now? We got 46 seconds left.
Really Wahoo System.
Wahoo System. Yeah. Paul?
There's a YouTube channel. I really like his style. It's Ride Bold.
Ooh,
check it out.
Okay.
He's down in Southern California. This guy, I just like the style he does his videos.
Mine is YouTube also, and it is Dirt, a series from Huckberry. It's a travel and food series this guy does. My wife and I found it, and some of them are 2 years old. And the guys, have you seen them? Mm-mm. Oh, they're great. It's called Dirt. Just different cities. He does all kinds of weird stuff. He finds food, brings it in, and it's like...
That's awesome.
What's his name? Anyway, the guy who died. The food guy. It's
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain, but yes. More hipster.
Ah,
okay. Interesting.
More hipster?
More hipster, yeah.